Meet Regretlyss, a lifestyle channel with almost 200,000 subscribers and over 20 million views. What makes this channel special? Well, she breaks many of the tried and true techniques of YouTube growth. She shoots all of her videos using only her phone, she doesn't stick to just one niche, and almost never looks at her analytics. But how does she do it? Jen and I will dig deep and find how storytelling can help you make the videos you love and still find success. All here on The Boost by vidIQ. Okay, I want to talk to you first about your name, which is awesome because one of the things I tell creators all the time is to have a memorable name for your YouTube channel. And Regretlyss is so memorable, so amazing.
Well,
how did you come up with that?
And this is not to hate on anyone who just uses their name as their channel. But yeah, I wanted something a little bit more memorable, and I wanted something that was just a bit punchy, just to let people know kind of the vibe of the channel right out of the gate. And I started my channel just by really wanting to push myself and see where the heck in life I could go. And that was kind of living Regretless, right? And my name is Alyssa. I thought it was a fun play on words, so I just went with it. And the user was available. And the domain. The domain's also important. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
So you branded
I have a background.
Early. I love that.
Yeah, I have a background in marketing and PR, so it just felt a little natural for me to just snag that domain at the same time.
Super smart. These are things that a lot of creators don't think about. It's not even that expensive. And just in case you change it into a brand that, you're really trying to market yourself with, it's absolutely critical. All right, so it's time to look at one of your videos, and I know this is one of your most popular ones, over 2 million views alone and cold. Let's look at the first 30 seconds or so, and then let's figure out exactly what you did to capture the imagination of so many people.
In solitude, I feel intoxicatingly alive, as if I've swallowed the sky. I feel the stars aching to burst from my chest. Any moment I may shatter, and no one is here to notice.
I see smoke from the shore.
Chills. Chills. I feel like you're speaking directly to me, but let's talk about how this intro came to life, because it's not something we traditionally see as an intro, and I would almost go against saying that it's not best practice to start a video opened up like this. So in the planning process, how did this come to life? However it looks like, how did this intro, when was it decided, and how?
I did. I broke a lot of rules, and I took a really big risk with this intro. I knew I was doing that. But I really wanted to push the envelope because the premise for this video was I was out camping, and it was going to be minus 20 degrees in the next 24 hours. And I just wanted to capture that journey. I wanted to leave the viewer guessing. I didn't want to give them the whole story right up front. So I've started to do this thing, and this was the first video I really tried this out with, was giving them just a little piece of information, which was that poem that I wrote about how I was feeling, and showing the snow, this bus in a dark place where people would be like, what is happening? Like, it was just enough to hook them, but they would have to stay on the video to really understand the entire story and what was happening. And I knew that I could piece that title together in a way that would make the viewer continue watching after giving them just enough of what that second storyline was, which was, I'm feeling really lonely and I am in the middle of nowhere and it is dark and cold. And like, we've all been in a weird little dark place like that. Maybe not out in nature in minus 20 degrees, but we've all had that experience of feeling lost and lonely. And I just wanted to present that feeling right out of the gate. It was a risk. Absolutely. I don't actually recommend it in terms of like, if you're trying to like make, it does break the rules, like you were saying, Jen. But I think people want that level of engagement in terms of long form content. I think people are more curious about the story and where it goes. You just have to hook them early enough, which was this cringy poem, right? Like, some people were like, that poem was so cringy. And I was like, but you watched. I know, but like that's the thing. That level of vulnerability is something that most creators wouldn't necessarily start their video with, which is just a poem. And I was like, you know what? I like this poem. I wrote this poem and I'm going to put it on. That's just how I'm going to start, you know? I am one of those weird channels where I kind of push in and out of different niches. I don't necessarily stick to one specific like project niche. So it was really important to me to still be able to have that thread of what connects all these stories together. Okay, she was living in the bus on the road. Now she's living in the mountains, renovating an old cottage. What's the thread there? Why would someone care who started watching my channel when I was on the road? Why would they care to continue watching when I'm now in a cottage doing DIY stuff and wearing cute little prairie dresses now? They care because it's like, it's about the relationship of continuing to figure out who I am while making others feel less alone. Every viewer is a human. So there is a person on the other end. Like, it's not just a number.
This is amazing because you're basically breaking a lot of the rules of YouTube, which is to niche down and do all these things. It's so difficult to do what you've accomplished. And I think if you're watching this video now, you need to rewind and listen to what she just said. Because for all the people that want to be able to do 16 different things on their channel and it just never works, that's like 95% of YouTube. They try all the things that doesn't work. You have figured out that there needs to be some type of common thread. So now that they're not coming for the thing you're doing, they're coming for you and that connection you've made with your audience. Now you get this creative freedom that makes it even better and maybe less likely to burn out.
You have to put stuff out there and just try and fail and, you know, own the cringe. Every YouTube creator.
Can we hear that one more time? Honestly, can we just hear that one more time?
Own the cringe. It really will
Try things.
Yes, it'll be your best friend. If you have the ability to show up to the world and not have shame for past versions of you, you're going to be way ahead because most people can't get over that hump.
But before we get into that, I want to hear a little bit more about the order that we have going on here. So your most performing video, not only is it something that you completely experimented with, tried something new, but from an order of how we do things, typically we have idea, title, thumbnail, opening hook. What does that order look like for a video like this? Which one came first? Which one came last?
What came first was the video concept. That was really important to me. That's usually how I start all of my videos, is the concept itself. And then I do leave a lot of freedom for like how that story evolves in real life. So I try not to structure myself too much because it's like, if I'm surprised, then I know the viewer is also going to be surprised. So thumbnail was last. So I do the thumbnail last. Like once I'm done filming my entire video, then I'll go back and decide to pick a thumbnail of like what I think really matches what the story is that I just told. It's really important for me to have the story in mind before crafting any thumbnail.
Travis, what are your thoughts there?
That's interesting. Let's talk about the thumbnail. That goes
Travis
against
is
everything
gonna
I've
pass
ever
out.
coached, but that's all right.
I'm breaking rules, Travis.
Listen, I know. I'm like, no. But you know what? I love the fact that YouTube is exactly this, that you can be a rule breaker at times. If you have the skills and the artistry to be able to do it, that's fine. And this thumbnail, though, is amazing. So quite frankly, you wouldn't know that you went backwards here because this actually it matches the title so well that I'm okay with it. You did the thing that a lot of people who do it backwards can't do. This worked out. This is a wonderful, a beautiful picture. Tell us how you came up with this and what made you land on this particular one.
Totally. So this was my last day of filming. I had just wrapped filming, and this is actually a completely, like, I just took this photo on my phone. I was like feeling all of the things. I had just written the poem actually that was going to be the intro for this video that we just saw. And I was like, how can I express the feeling and the journey that I was just on? And I was like, well, I need to be outside. I need to show that I'm alone and I'm like fully immersed in the elements. So I just went outside, walked around, took a bunch of different photos and landed on this one. This one felt the most honest. Like for me, it's really important for the thumbnail to align deeply with the video and story that I'm telling alone. And I also really want my expressions to match that. I have found that if I have an expression where you can't exactly tell what I'm feeling, but I'm feeling something, that always does best, because it's almost like the person who's scrolling, the viewer, can look at this and then all of a sudden kind of place whatever they're feeling onto my face. I'm clearly in a situation right here and it's very honest, but I'm not totally going to express how that situation went. Like, I'm not super excited. I'm not distraught. You kind of have to figure that out by watching the video.
Also, looks like you have Bigfoot in the background. I don't know how you captured Bigfoot right behind your van there. That's pretty crazy. Look at that. That's insane.
Did you do that?
Believe it. You got Sasquatch. No, I just found it. I just found it.
Oh my God. I did not notice that. If you didn't doctor that.
I've never seen that.
Let's watch like the last 30-ish or so seconds. I'm just interested how you end this story, because as important as getting people hooked is, like, how do you make them want more later? Let's take a look at this video and see exactly what you did here.
That is. Rio and I's adventures in this bus are just getting started, and I just can't wait to see what we're made of and what other adventures we're going to get into. So if you would like to follow along, be part of the journey, hit the like button and feel free to subscribe. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in a bit.
Now, I want to talk about this for a second, because we talked about this with our last creator. You're inviting the viewer and you're talking directly to the viewer. This is so important and is missed by so many creators. The word "we" made you one of my favorite creators right now in this moment, because you get it. That is it. That is me talking to you through the camera saying "we." This is our journey. This is our fulfilling moment. This is, and then they can root for you because it's "we." Talk about, is that natural for you? Or did you think that through?
You know,
it's such a high level thing.
It wasn't initially in my very first videos, but once I started gaining a little bit of traction and people started relating to me in the comment section, it became very easy for me to realize this is not my story alone. And I don't want it to be my story alone. Like I was mentioning earlier, yes, I'm sharing my story, but I'm telling our story. I'm telling the human story. I'm telling the story of the person who's watching, so that they can feel a little less alone. So it felt very natural to start using the "we" and "us" aspect into my videos. And recently, in the past couple of months, people, my audience has been so engaged and really loving that style of engagement that I've actually started making my viewers food, which is really funny. Like the last video, I baked cookies. Like I try a new recipe every week. And what I'll do is I place the cookie in front of the camera to make it seem like they were sitting at the table with me. And as I was reading my book, I would make cuts and I would take a bite of the viewer's cookie and place it back down so it looked like the viewer was slowly eating the cookie with me. It sounds ridiculous, but I have never gotten so many more comments of people like, "Thank you so much for the cookie. Like, when can I try it?" It's like it was so funny.
We
Jen,
just did this. We're seeing patterns. We're seeing patterns, which is crazy because there's what do they say? Proof in the pudding? Is that the expression? Yeah. Well, there's proof in the cookies and proof in the cheers from both creators now that have done this same technique.
If you missed the last episode of this, you need to go back and watch with Brett. We found a moment where he had like wine or something and was cheersing the camera. And we said how amazing that was to bring the viewer into that moment by cheersing. And you literally are doing the same thing. You guys aren't talking about this.
No, I don't know.
Something that you guys did behind the scenes or anything,
Yeah.
right? This is just something you figured out. Tell me about this. Tell me about this. I want you to talk to us about the very Dune-like, Road Warrior-like thumbnail.
I created this America's Highway Queen, which was this archetype of a woman, and shared her story, which I used me as a little bit, but mostly I wrote a story that was the voiceover for this piece. The color scale was really important because it felt like this wasn't mine to share, and it also... So like I wanted to share that distinction of like this is not a typical Regretlyss video. I wanted to express to my viewers that this is different. So the color was really important. The framing was important. The desolate nature of this frame I thought was necessary.
There we go.
Oof, matching the thumbnail right away.
After driving 300 miles or so, my eyes weary from the afternoon sun, I pulled up to a diesel pump precisely in nowhere. As I slid off my steed, my fringe jacket tickling my thighs, an old woman with a sun-weathered face and an unlit cigarette tucked under her lip leaned over from the other side of the pump. She studied me carefully. After a moment, she mumbled, "Where are you headed?" The question felt like a loaded gun. I looked up slyly with a playful smirk on my face. "Everywhere and nowhere," I replied. Her wrinkles deepened as her face cracked into a big smile. It was what she said next that stunned me the most. "I knew I recognized you," she pointed at me furiously as she lit her cigarette. "America's Highway Queen is alive again. Well, safe travels, my dear, and for the love of God, don't let him catch you this time." And with the slam of her rusty door and the crank of her engine, she was gone.
I want to talk a little bit about pacing. In so many YouTube growth videos, they talk about, all right, get to the point, get to the point, get to the point. But I always say, when it comes to thumbnails, content, and whatever, it depends on your viewer. There is a pacing here that's very deliberate, and the storytelling is very deep. You know that you're into something. Something just happened. It's almost like a Breaking Bad episode, like at the very beginning. Like, one of the things you think about Breaking Bad is one of the greatest television shows of all time. However, it takes its time. And you really just allowed yourself to soak in this moment, be where you are, and tell this story. For most YouTube creators, they go, I don't know how is she doing this? How is it getting views? Like, she's taking so long to get to things. But that's the point. Talk to us about how that came to be.
Absolutely. So space and time is something that, like you pointed out, Travis, is extremely important to me. This is long form content. I am building a relationship. I am telling a story in a way that it can sink in. I think it's really easy, especially in the days of short form content exploding, that it can be really easy to try to be like, okay, I need to hurry this up. I need to like get all the information out right out of the gate. But I am a relationship-based creator. I want people to feel things. Like, even when you go to a cinema, the latest movies, like I just saw Dune 2. That pacing is really slow in the beginning as well. And it's intentional because it allows people to notice other little things. Like, I slowed down that pace so that the color scale could really sink in, so that the drawn out, the dramatic essence of meeting this imaginary woman at the diesel pump could really sink in, so that it could feel heavier.
So I actually remember when this video went live, and I feel like the performance was not as expected at the time.
Totally.
Is that true?
Oh my gosh. This is a wild underperformer of a video. Like, this was a 10 out of 10 when it posted. And this is kind of the poetic justice, right, of taking risks, is that it doesn't always work out. But this is one of my absolute favorite videos I have ever made. And the comments that I've gotten on this video I've never gotten more positive feedback from the people who actually did watch it. The thing is about taking risks, it doesn't always pay off. And especially if you make a more artistic video that perhaps the algorithm has no idea how to place it. The algorithm had no idea what kind of audience actually wanted to see this video. So it was really, really slow. And you can't take that personally. Like, that's just artistic risk, right? I am very lucky in the sense that I just really loved this video. So I had no shame in the fact that it was a 10 out of 10 when it got posted. But it is a core video where people can still very much understand who I am as a person and what my intentions are for the channel. So it still adds a lot of benefit to this low performing video living on my channel. It's still highly valuable, even if it isn't a top performer or one of my most viewed videos, like the Alone in Cold. It's very interesting. The Alone in Cold video, it has 2 million views. Also very slow artistic pacing right out of the gate. I took the same sort of risks with the intro. That one paid off. This one didn't. The Highway Queen did not take off. And that's just a risk you're willing to take. But if you're believing in the videos that you're putting out there, and if they still very much align with your channel's core purpose, it's absolutely worth it to take those risks, make those videos, and leave them on your channel to live.
Two things that stand out to me that I talk to creators about very frequently, and that is that everyone's 10 of 10 feels the same, no matter how many views it has. It scales differently. It still feels the worst. So if that's 50,000 views, that's still a 10 of 10. And if that's 1 million views or 10 views,
Right.
It's a feeling that we all feel. And then there's the place where we upload content with different intentions. We have content that is made for our audience, and then we have content that is made for the audience we don't have yet. And it's aligning that ranking with what the intention of the video was. So if it's a community-driven video, we're not really going to expect that 1 of 10 because it's not the goal.
Exactly.
So like you were saying, Liz, is that we make videos for different reasons, and it's okay, and it's a learning experience, and
it's necessary.
That's what we're
I
here
would
to do.
argue it's absolutely necessary. And by the way, my Alone in Cold video was an 8 out of 10 when it posted, like initially. And so that is
I
also...
love that's not even your only 8 of 10
I know.
that hit a mill.
I know. Yeah, actually, I think
You've
my
had
top,
like 3, I feel like.
my top, I'm pretty sure it's my top 3. It might be my top 4, but my top 3 videos of all time performing videos were 8 of 10 or less. Like it was 8, 9, or 10 out of 10 when initially posted. And that, I love YouTube for this reason. Your videos can have life a day after, 6 months after, 2 years after you post it, and it's still relevant. And I just think that's so beautiful. So even if you start posting and you're not getting great results right out of the gate, continue to post with intention, post videos that still very much align with why you're making these videos to begin with, have that common thread, and eventually they very well might just get traction.
I do want to do one last thing that we do with all creators. And a lot of times it makes them cringe, but I don't think that's going to happen here because
I
You own the cringe.
baby.
you own the cringe, number one.
Everyone has to
It's
own the
plus,
cringe
it
now.
seems like you've been
Gotta
pretty
do
good
it.
since day one. So we're going to look a little bit at your very first video you ever uploaded to YouTube.
Oh,
Over 100,000
no.
views, which is crazy. See? I love doing this because you're so much better of a creator now than you were then, but we got to go back and take a look. Let's
You gotta
watch
go
the first
back.
couple seconds
Let's own
of
the cringe,
very
baby.
beginning.
Look at this. Look at this text.
Interesting text versus audio.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no audio so far.
YouTube. I am so excited to see you guys again. For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Alyssa. I live full-time in my converted school bus named Lucky with my dog Rio. Most of you guys probably know me from my past channel with my partner Dan. We have since split and I have decided to make my own YouTube channel. I wish him all the best. He is just an incredible human being. But sometimes life pulls you in different directions.
I think this is the most beautiful first video to see this and then see where you are now as a creator. And you're still the same person.
Yeah.
But the thought and the intention that goes into the content is just evolved.
It's totally evolved. And like, to preface this, like, I have zero photography, videography background whatsoever. I still, to this day, film everything on my phone. Like, I am a bad YouTuber in that way. But the thing that I've had going from me from the get-go was like, I hopped up on there, no music, no nothing. I was like, hey, I'm going through it. I just went through a breakup. My life is changing. Like, that's how I started, and it feels very honest, and it is extremely cringeworthy because now I would never tell a story that way, right? Like, there's a lot more nuances that I can really share my story in different ways. But yeah, sometimes you just gotta pick up the phone and press record and see what happens. That's what I did.
Here's what we learned today. We learned that embracing the cringe can help you become a more authentic creator. We also learned that many times very successful videos start out as poor performing videos. Not only that, we learned that not every successful video has to be edited like Mr. Beast. Pacing is really important. And lastly, we learned that storytelling is king. If you can tell a good story, you will find success. If you want your own one-on-one coach that can help you break down your channel and your videos, click the link below to sign up today. We'll see you in the next one.